PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to this week's show. On PACTV Community News tonight, we'll take you on an educational lobster boat trip, stop into the Pine Fest event held at Miles Standish State Forest, and we'll visit National Trails Day at Red Brook.
We meet some amazing young high school awardees from Kingston's Sacred Heart and some extraordinary women for the Speak for Thyself Awards in Duxbury.
We also stop into the opening day at the Farmers Market at Plymouth Plantation, and we begin tonight at a fashion show in Pembroke. In her teens and early 20s, Maria Wood struggled with her own self-esteem and found a way to overcome. She has since made it part of her life's work to instill the same strength that she found for herself in young girls ages 5 to 18. For the past 15 years, she's owned her business, Fashion Focus of Pembroke, and helps girls discover their own inner beauty and confidence. Each year, she hosts a celebration fashion show, and this year, PCN stopped in to see more.
Tonight is a fashion show. It's our end-of-year celebration, and we have it once a year, and it's for all of the students who have been coming since the fall through the spring, and we celebrate their inner beauty, and we use the runway as a form of them walking and feeling proud. We usually have a theme, and we always pick a charity that we use the 50-50 proceeds to go to, and this year it's from Massachusetts General Hospital Pediatric Epilepsy Program. The Massachusetts General Hospital Pediatric Epilepsy Program was brought to my attention from a private lesson student of mine. Her name is Rosie Doherty. She's a Duxbury High School senior graduating very shortly, and she has two challenges. She has epilepsy and autism. So I started doing lessons with her, and I was so impressed by the person that she is and the sheer determination to not be labeled the autistic kid and to be who she is and no limit of who she is. And I thought it was the perfect marriage of showing my students that no matter your limits, what you consider limits or what your disabilities may be, you have the power to make your dreams come true and to define yourself. And so Rosie is going to be speaking to the girls about what her hopes and dreams are and how far she's come. So she's kind of the motivation behind Massachusetts General Hospital Pediatric Epilepsy donation. The girls that come here are ages 5 to 18, and they're girls from all walks of life. They're girls that are sporty, but they want to do something fun because they're fashiony. They're girls that are struggling with self-esteem a little bit or self-confidence and want to build it up. There are parents that send their kids here because they want them to have a little bit more poise, smooth off the rough edges. So it's a 15-week program for fall and for spring that covers lots of elements of what I just mentioned: confidence and manners and posture and just overall owning who they are and defining themselves. This show is kind of a big deal for us because it's been 15 years of really instilling confidence, and what is that and what does it mean? And really what we're here to sort of help the girls work through is beauty comes from within. Well, what does that mean? And how do you project that out? And it is through a series of classes and practicing that we help them understand what that all means, and that it's not just about the way they look, it's about who they are. So that's why we do a lot for the community, and we do a lot of volunteering, and we really inspire them to help others, and in turn they help themselves. We want parents and children to leave here with the knowledge that we're digging a little deeper and we're helping them understand things about themselves that maybe their parents weren't able to bring out with them. But the perspective of being around their peers or being with an instructor like myself or my other instructors makes them think a little bit differently and hopefully builds them up into a different perspective of themselves and how they interact with others.
Our harbors on the South Shore are filled with sea life that provides livelihoods for many types of businesses such as fishing, tourism, and whale watches. PCN met up with another business that uses the life in the sea as an education tool for youth.
Living in an oceanside community has its privileges. It's beautiful, it's fun, there's lots of tourism things to do. It's also a responsibility. And we met up with the folks at Lobster Tales who took us out on the harbor to learn about the creatures that are in it, the ecosystem, and ways to protect it.
We are here for a trip we call a Lobster Excursion, and my plan is to take middle school kids out and show them how lobsters are harvested. A lot of the kids that we take on our trips, although they live somewhat near the coast, they never get an opportunity to get out on the water and do what we offer.
Raise your hand if you see Plymouth Rock.
Physically haul lobster traps and spend some time talking about the mechanics of the traps, the biology of the animals, why the ocean is important to us.
The main body of your lobster is at least 3 1/4 long. You harvest the lobster. If the shell is short, back it goes to the sea.
Well, if you go up and down any coast in the United States or about the planet, every coast has different dynamics. You watch these kids hauling up a rope. That rope's going to be wet, it's going to be cold, it's going to be seaweed on that rope. And these kids never felt seaweed on their hands sometimes. We'll haul up our trap, and inside we're going to find critters that they have never seen, maybe never see again. It's just exposing them to not only what we see on the surface of the water, also what lives and dwells below the surface. We've had a big change in just how much knowledge we have gained in how to better protect our environment. Plymouth Harbor was the first coastal community to be awarded a no discharge area, NDA it's called, and we have a beach that we're going to be alongside, Plymouth Beach. That beach has been closed to clamming in the past 50 years. Well, just this past year, because we've had 3 good years of water quality, we've just opened up these clam flats to allow people to go out. And personally, 2 weeks ago, I took my grandkids out there for the very first time. We do a better job, I think, of trying to take care of the resources we have. Things are getting better for the ecology of Plymouth Harbor and our community, and this is going to transcend about the entire nation. Hopefully, we take care of our resources, it'll come back to take care of us.
Cool story, Kim.
Thanks.
I love the ocean, I love sea creatures, and I love to eat fish. What I don't really like is to be out on boats for too long.
I was starting to feel a little sick. And I was kind of surprised too, but it's a really great thing. I mean, whatever they pull the traps up, whatever is in there, and he pulls stuff out, and he even lets the kids band the lobster claws.
Okay.
Like it's great. You can do anything and see all these different creatures, and you never know what you're going to get. And we had a really nice time.
Yeah, it looked fun.
Well, our next story. The Speak for Thyself Awards honor women who, in the spirit of Pilgrim Priscilla Mullins Alden, have prompted extraordinary outcomes by speaking up on behalf of themselves or others. These women were selected for outstanding civic contributions to their communities and have been instrumental in changing the lives they touch for the better. The ceremony was at the Duxbury Bay Maritime School, and we stopped by to capture some of the presentation.
The Speak for Thyself Awards are given to outstanding women in the community and in the greater community. Tonight we have one from Boston, one from Hingham, and 2 people from the South Shore here in Duxbury and Kingston. And we find extraordinary women who have done marvelous things and made this world a better place. And we do it in remembrance of Priscilla Mullins Alden, wife of John Alden, the first settlers of Duxbury. We have 4 generations. We've got the youngest is the TV anchor woman from WHDH in Boston, and her name is Sarah French. And Sarah French used to be in Connecticut, so I'm from Connecticut, and I knew about Sarah. And she's won a couple of Emmys, and she's done extraordinary work with domestic violence and women's breast cancer. And you'll hear her story tonight, and the story is that her very best friend was murdered by her spouse and really knew nothing about domestic violence, and that prompted her to lead a cause to get 911 able to be used on cell phones in 18 states. We have with us this evening a woman named Anita Haffey. She moved to Duxbury because she had a young family of 6 children, and she told her husband she wanted to live near the beach. They moved to town, and about the next year, the whole beach was destroyed by a hurricane, and she got involved in helping to save that beach, and she actually helped form the Duxbury Beach Preservation Society and worked many years for that. later on, at an early age, she lost her husband through death, and she was left with 6 children. And this community rallied around her and supported her, and she says, what I've done the rest of my life is give back. We have with us tonight Jeanette McKenzie. Jeanette is a guru about plants and herbs for both cooking and medicinal purposes, and she's planned a lot of gardens. She does a lot of research. For us at the Alden House, she has created a garden as it would be when the people live there, and she's extraordinarily talented, has shared her talent, got others to come along and do the work, and created these gardens that really are a blessing for us. The fourth one is Mikey Walker. Now, Mikey comes from Hingham, and she's an educator. And for years now, she's been head of the Montessori school in Hingham, which is quite well known. But there's another side of Mikey. Out of adversity, she lost a son, and she somehow got into African drumming, which was part of her relief of her grief. And she got struck by Africa and went over there several times, found out what the needs were, brought tons of stuff back with her the second time to an orphanage. Now she's got a program where she takes boys and girls from the inner city school in Boston and takes them to Rhodesia, where they live with these kids in the orphanages for a week or so and share and learn what real deprivation really is. So she's a remarkable person. She set up a foundation in her son's name, the Kerry Walker Fund, to do it. And so we're honoring her for a host of reasons. It's my goal at the end of this evening that people leave this room and say, wow, these women are truly extraordinary. And they don't think they're extraordinary, but they are.
Recently, 2 students at Sacred Heart High School in Kingston were recognized by the state legislature for their outstanding accomplishments in the fields of debate and prose speech. We stopped in to meet these remarkable young men on a Friday afternoon at an event that felt more like a pep rally than an awards ceremony. Growing up, when we gathered in the auditorium on a Friday in high school, it was either to cheer on one of our sports teams or to sit through an extended version of a public service announcement. The kids at Sacred Heart in Kingston were in for something much different on this Friday.
What has been accomplished by several of our students is of such magnitude that it cried out that it be given some additional, more widespread coverage. And I'm delighted that that's occurred. We have 2 youngsters here, 2 young men, who collectively hold 3 state titles in 3 different categories. Truly unique, probably has never happened before in the history of Sacred Heart.
Sounds like a pretty big deal. In fact, it was such a big deal that these 2 young men were recognized for their deeds by the Massachusetts state legislature. State Senator Vinnie DiMacedo and Representative Tom Coulter presented the boys with official proclamations from the State House and Senate. So what exactly have these 2 done that earned them such accolades? Well, first, there's Corey Turner, a sophomore at Sacred Heart. He's the state champion at prose reading. For public radio listeners, it's something akin to the Moth Radio Hour or Story Slams. By definition, prose reading is a non-memorized competition event in which competitors choose a published piece of work that is a sad or humorous solo that's done in first person. Young Mr. Turner chose a piece that he'd heard on an NPR podcast called Snap Judgment.
Performing all year with the piece was very fun because when I first found the piece, I was very moved by it myself, so I really tried to work at it to practice a lot on it. But when I started performing, like when I began performing with my school, it was very different because I'm in a community where I'm one of the few black people here.
It should be pointed out that neither of these 2 had ever performed in front of their classmates at Sacred Heart.
This was an amazing experience because I got to show to a lot of people what I do and what it's like. Because many people at the school know that I am a debater, and some of them might know that what I do is Lincoln Douglas debate. But this is the first time for a lot of people at my school that they have seen it in action, which is an amazing experience.
While Corey Turner's performance was moving, what Adam Tomasi did was moving as well, at about 100 miles per hour. I don't think I'll be speaking that quickly for my close, so I'll just say, reporting from Sacred Heart High School in Kingston, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
Wow, Brian, you did this story. That boy, the young man, he was reading so fast, I could really barely understand him. What is that used for?
That's how they get their points across, and it helps save time. Otherwise, they're going to be reading their stuff. I think. I've seen a couple of movies on debate, and that's the style of doing it. I forget the name of it, and I should have known before I did this. But
so
those
it's a time to get your points out, but it.
Yep, gets it all out there.
But it's so fast.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to understand. But these two are remarkable.
Remarkable kids. And when did young kids start getting so smart and so well versed?
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So really cool.
Very impressive. If you enjoy being outdoors and are even slightly interested in taking care of the environment, you would be a perfect candidate to go to the Pine Fest at Miles Standish State Forest here in Plymouth. Hosted by the Southeastern Mass Pine Barrens Alliance, it's an annual event that features fun, food, a little bit of learning, and it's all in the clean outdoor air.
For years, the Southeastern Mass Pine Barrens Alliance has been hosting the annual Pine Fest, and every year it's a fun time, even if there's some learning involved. They couldn't have asked for nicer weather than we're having here today. There's all kinds of stuff to do and things to see. I just hope everybody's using sunblock. Log splitting? Check. Archery for the little ones? Check. Pony rides, apple cider donuts, and a dangling chicken. The Pine Fest had all of this and more. And there were people interested, all the while picking up some environmental knowledge along the way. And that's what makes Pine Barrens VP Evelyn Strawn so happy.
I think most people don't realize that we live in a globally endangered ecosystem. There are 182 endangered species, and people don't know that. And the only people who know that are people who are all involved with the environment. So we want other people to understand what a really special place this is. It's called Pine Barrens, but it isn't barren at all. There are lots of animals, there are lots of plants that are nowhere else in the world, and it's possible to come here and have a really good time.
Down by Charge Pond, Melissa James Perry was there representing the Wampanoag Nation. We met up while they were putting together a traditional shade arbor.
In our language, we call a shade arbor an apawunk, and it's a place of rest and relaxation. And we build traditional shade arbors covered with pine boughs, or you could use cedar boughs or birch bark. And you might put them around cook fires, you might put them around a little dance circle, and so you can have your festivities going on, have some shade, do some cooking, and relax together and enjoy yourselves.
So whether you were learning about the weight of the fish you caught with Karen Vale of the Cape Cod Baywatch Group, coloring in a herring with Ramona Krogman of the Herring Pond Watershed Association, or making pace counting beads with Dan Badger, the Wilderness Guide, the message of the day for the Department of Conservation and Recreation was inclusion.
The most important thing we want everyone to know is that they're welcome here in their public lands, and that we're showing an opportunity, or giving them an opportunity, to have a safe and fun summer.
My only regret is not trying the apple cider donuts. Maybe next year. At Pine Fest in Miles Standish State Forest, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News. The Red Brook area in Plymouth is making its way onto the scene as one of the new places to go for outdoor events, like trail hiking and kayaking, for example. This past weekend, everyone was welcome to attend their National Trails Day. There were activities for kids, guided trail walks, yoga, guided site tours, and the weather, which started off quite poorly, ended up being an asset to this fine day.
In just a few minutes, right over at the Mass Audubon tent on the green. So head on over to the Mass Audubon tent on the green for the next.
Today is Plymouth Outdoors, based off of National Trails Day. It is at Red Brook, which is an 80 Makepeace company on the Village Green, right next to the new YMCA building. And we have all kinds of vendors here, from Bliscapes, who sells birdhouses, to sand art and cranberry bog making. The YMCA is doing all kinds of kids activities with their gaga pit, face painting. Mass Audubon is also doing trail walks. You can sign up for it, 10:30, 12 o'clock, and 1:30. Well, it's basically trying to allow people, the opportunity to come outside, get their kids outside, get them off the video games. We're trying to show people what Plymouth has to offer, other than just, the downtown area. Let them know, there is outdoors, there is nature, and there's bird watching and all kinds of other fun activities to do, other than just sitting inside and playing video games. Everything from, organizing vendor relations, booking all the vendors for here, organizing where there will be, also speaking with Kim Hoodlet from 80 Makepeace and helping with their end of the booking of the entire event for the day. Lots of advertising and marketing on Facebook, in magazines, newspapers, on the radio. So we're having some great weather right now, warmed up for us, luckily. So we're having a great turnout right now, lots of family, lots of kids. I hope that everybody leaves here feeling like they had a great day outside, getting even some exercise in on the trail walks. And they want to continue staying outside and doing more things around the Plymouth area and doing some more research on our PlymouthOutdoors.com website. They can also check out Mass Audubon's website for some other activities to do, the Pine Barrens, Wildlands Trust. We have a lot of really great vendors here that are also trying to help promote the outdoors.
Watch out for giant turkeys. It was actually a great week last week to kick off outdoor events.
Definitely, definitely. I actually went to the Pine Fest one. I saw you there. That was a great event. And I did not make it to Red Brook, but I wanted to, so maybe next year.
Yeah.
But another great event, farmers markets.
You got it.
The warm weather is starting to roll in, and people are fully involved in attending things outside, like the Plymouth Farmers Market at Plymouth Plantation. For 12 years now, Plymouth Plantation has hosted one of the largest regional farmers markets in the area for the south of Boston. The market features over 30 vendors, and we stopped in for the first one of the season last week.
Nothing says summertime is just about here like the outdoor farmers market at Plymouth Plantation. So what we'll do right now is take a walk around and see what's cooking. But before we just go wandering off, we might want to get some information from Lisa Dagger, the market's director.
The Plymouth Farmers Market is so festive. It's a great place to come every Thursday afternoon from 2:30 to 6:30. We're here every week from June through October. We have prepared food so you can come and get your dinner. We have fantastic live music. We have our cooking demonstration. We have over 35 wonderful local vendors.
And if it's organic you're looking for, there were 4 certified organic farmers on the lawn this day.
Consumers are becoming much more aware of the benefits of certified organic, and it's really about knowing your farmer and knowing your food and how it's grown and what's in it that helps kind of give people a sort of peace of mind, and the organic certification is sort of one more level of that.
One of the things that makes the Plymouth Farmers Market so special is that we are a producer-only market. So when you purchase product from our farmers, you can be sure that they've grown that product themselves. Also, when you buy food from our food artisans, you can be sure that they've sourced some of their product from the local food system.
I don't know what they sourced to make these cookies, but they were massive. The Plymouth Farmers Market is one of the largest regional markets south of Boston. It gives plenty of vendors a chance to show their wares, and they're not shy about showing their appreciation.
This is probably the biggest weekly market that we do. It's really popular. We always do really well, especially when the weather's nice like today. So it's a really great place to be.
This, I think, is the best market on the South Shore. I mean, the mix of vendors and the quality of produce and everything, it's the best place to get the fresh ingredients picked that morning.
There was even someone there who would sharpen your kitchen knives. The whole event had an almost carnival-like atmosphere about it, with the live music, face painting, kids running around, and the smell of those cookies permeating nearly every drop of air you breathed in. It left me wanting to come back next week, which is probably what they were aiming for.
We hope that you'll come out to the farmers market and do your weekly grocery shopping here and support your local food economy, your local food artisans, and your local farmers.
In Plymouth, Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
Thanks for watching this week's show. Check out our website for more information on the show and links to all the stories.
PCN is also on YouTube, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to receive previews and links to all of our episodes.
We'll see you next week for more PACTV Community News.